Go. So, you can bring your coffee to the table if you want to. So we will continue with the plenary session 1 in just a few minutes. And unfortunately, we have to close the black curtains. Annie, get your mic over there.
Est-ce qu'on sait Shawinigan, ce que ça veut dire? Shawinigan, est-ce qu'on sait ce que ça veut dire?
Shawinigan en indien, c'est un nom indien.
Oui.
Portage sur la crête.
OK.
En anglais, hein?
Ça va être un peu compliqué.
Ouais.
Okay, so I will leave the word to Mr. Sylvain Guégard.
Thank you very much, Anki. So we are back to discuss now with people who have participated in the study as people who have been reviewed or their actions or have been examined by the study teams. And we'll have the opportunity now to listen to various perspectives. And first, we'll hear from the perspective of a mayor who cares about the economic development and the jobs of his municipalities. And the challenge has been how to connect better with the employment services and the world of training. So I will first give the floor to Mr. Michel Anger, the mayor of Shawinigan. Shawinigan is not an Indian song. It's a place, it's a town in Canada, which has had to go through an intense restructuring period, and it can be proud of its achievement. So, Mr. Mayor, to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. First of all, I'd like to tell you that it's an honor for me to be here to present to you the efforts and initiative put forward by the population of Shawinigan to regain control of its destiny. As mayor of Shawinigan, I'm proud of what we have initiated. I have already been able to share our experience during some national debate meeting, but today, with this invitation from the OECD, I realize that what we are doing in Shawinigan crosses boundaries, so we now find ourselves at the forefront of the international stage. It's an honor which reflects on my community, and it's also a signal which shows us that we are on the right track. I'd like to thank Mr. Sylvain Guégard for his kind invitation to participate to this 10th annual meeting of the OECD Lead Forum on Partnership and Local Development. I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Thomas Tomstead from the Ottawa University and Mr. Jonathan Barr from the Administrative Office of the OECD. They have succeeded in showcasing some very concrete initiatives which we have put forward in Shawinigan during the last few years. It's inspiring and very rewarding to notice that our efforts fit into a global approach of active involvement by local communities to take charge of their own economic development. In 1982, the OECD started its local economic development and job creation program. In Shawinigan, that coincided with a difficult period of transformation of our industrial structure. It's our reality, but it's also the reality of many industrial towns in Quebec and in North America. In the middle of the last century, Shawinigan was the most prosperous town in Canada. We had metal, chemical, textile, wood and paper industries, which had all been attracted to Shawinigan because of our plentiful hydroelectric power plants. In the last 30 years, we have had to deal with the successive closure of numerous factories from the electrochemical sector. This difficult period peaked in 2007 with the closure of the Belgo pulp and paper mill. In that one shot, Shawinigan lost more than 500 jobs. Since that date of November 29, 2007, we decided never again. It was time for us to take control of our own destiny. So, without turning our backs to large-scale companies, we decided to focus on the development of small and medium-sized businesses and their entrepreneurs to rebuild our economic fabric. It was for us an important turnaround in our way of doing market research. It was an important turnaround in our way of looking at our strength, and it was an important turnaround in the way of thinking of our entire population. In Shawinigan, as in many other locations in Quebec, economic development was based on the exploitation of our natural resources. For us, it meant mostly the forest industry, and very much every related to our plentiful and cheap electricity. Thanks to the 4 hydroelectric power plants along the St. Maurice River, which runs through our city. Today, our main resource, as far as economic development is concerned, is our population. It's our men and women and their willingness to start up new businesses. In 2009, we started to put in place the Shawinigan entrepreneurial community and to start nurturing an attitude of entrepreneurship in our young and not so young citizens. We multiplied our intervention. We developed projects meant to initiate and sensitize people to entrepreneurship. Since 2009, we systematically put this entrepreneurship spirit at the forefront of our efforts, and it's giving result. In 2010, the intention to start up a business in Shawinigan were shared by 5.6% of our population. In 2013, they shot up to 7.1%. But the great revelation of this entrepreneurial diagnostic started in 2009 is that we noticed how we have directly affect our young people. We are finally making a 180 degrees turn, which will allow us to train our future business people to help us rebuild our economy. Among the 18 to 34 years old, this rate of intention to start up a business is now 29.6%. It is superior to that of the entire province of Quebec, which is 25%. In Shawinigan, the 18 to 34 years old is the largest group of people who own their own businesses at a rate of 12.5%. But that figure is only 4.8% in the province of Quebec as a whole. This is one of our best victories because we went from a culture of being servant of the big bosses, passed on from generation to generation, to one where we now have people who want to start up their own business. So we made a strong commitment to develop this culture of entrepreneurship. We now want to grow businesses. And in order to do that, we need a nursery, a kind of incubator, if you prefer. That's why in the fall of 2012, we officially opened an entrepreneurship center unique in the province of Quebec. We transformed the Wabasso building, a centennial cotton factory important during the heydays of Shawinigan, abandoned for 25 years. This idea to start a project to nurture the startup of businesses came from a reflection born from an economic forum while in Europe in the fall of 2007. At that time, I had organized this mission and I'd invite a delegation made up of several elected officials from my region, including the then mayor of Shawinigan. On that occasion, we noticed that Belgium had developed a different approach to encourage their own business startups. We furthered this thinking with our partners during another economic forum in Belgium and France in May 2010. But that time, I was part of the delegation as mayor. Now, under one roof, the Shawinigan Entrepreneurship Center offers training for entrepreneurs, support for the startup of businesses, and the rental of space adapted to the startup needs of small and medium-sized enterprise. It is a unique place in Canada where one can find a program to develop competencies and the tool needed to accompany this critical mass of entrepreneurs in order to allow them flourish. During this last year, more than 150 promoters have already taken this business startup training. We now have 10 businesses incubating in our entrepreneurship center, and one business has already moved into an industrial park. And we continue to watch for new opportunities to develop new markets. For example, we have formed a partnership with Shawinigan SME, Alchemic Dream, which had businesses dealings all over the globe in the social gaming sector. Presently, we are in the process of converting the second floor of our entrepreneurship center into a full-fledged digital station. It will be a leading facility for creating mobile applications and social games. It will be a place to train people, a creative space, and a specialized incubator for businesses involved in the digital world. Obviously, this doesn't happen overnight, because even if we don't have all the level of power to stimulate our economic development, the citizens expect their city, their mayor, to make it happen. We asked our citizens, what do you think should be the priority of your city in order to improve your quality of life for the next 5 years? 35% spontaneously mentioned improving municipal services, but 40% wanted us to stimulate the economic life, to attract new businesses, and to stop the exodus of our young people. So the city of Shawinigan decided to invest in its future, almost $10 million to convert the Wabasso building. Of course, we had help from the provincial government with this project. $1 million for the entrepreneurship center, $1.5 million for the digital station. Rio Tinto Alcan has also gave us more than $1 million for the entrepreneurship center. And finally, the Desjardins Credit Union decided to support us by developing a support program for SMEs and also by sponsoring our entrepreneurship center. So, yes, in Shawinigan, we believe that local communities need to invest in the development of SMEs and in job creation. Will this effort allow us to one day replace the large factories which have left? Certainly, in the medium and long term. For example, Megatech Electro is a very small company started by two local entrepreneurs during the 90s. Now, 30 years later, it's still there. It belongs to Kongsberg, a Norwegian business, and it employs 400 workers. The small SMEs have become to the most important private employer in Shawinigan. We would like to have many more stories like this one. In closing, I can say that Shawinigan is now on the heart of its process of economic conversion. We have adopted our new plan of diversification and economic development, and we focus on entrepreneurs and on SMEs. What I have presented here today is our action plan, but the secret, the real secret of our success resides mostly in the execution of this action plan. The secret, our success, resides also on the willingness of all the stakeholders to stick to the plan, to defend it, and to put it in practice. A bit the same way of a sports coach would do. I made sure all the players rallied around a common goal. And I started by convincing the member of my municipal council, by explaining to them what we had to do to stimulate our economy and to create jobs, and by making sure I had a wide consensus at the political level. Then I did the same exercise at the table of the Economic Diversification Committee. That committee brings together 20-plus representatives of all kinds of organizations working for the economic development of our territory. There again, I made sure to have cohesion and consensus. We agreed on common goal and on the ways to invest in the best project. The best example of this cohesion comes from the team who prepared the study OECD Local Job Creation Reports Canada. Someone pointed out to me that all the stakeholders from Shawinigan had the same vision and the same discourse, which is rather rare. In Shawinigan, it's the entire community which decided to embark on this common goal, the goal to be in charge of its own development, of its own future, all on its own. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anger. It has been quite an achievement indeed, because the area of Shawinigan is not renowned for entrepreneurship, so you've managed to change the culture and the attitudes towards entrepreneurship, so that's quite a success. So we will continue with our largely francophone panel with Annie Gauvin, who has been one of our main partners for the French part of the study. Annie is work for the Pôle Emploi, which is the Public Employment Service. She is Director for Research, Evaluation, and International Affairs. She is also Vice President of WAPES, with which we have the pleasure of co-organizing this event this year. Annie, you have some comments on the results on France, I suppose.
Yes. Thank you. Many thanks. Good morning. Many thanks to OECD and Swedish authorities, and especially Public Employment Services in Sweden, Albert van Menlingen, my friend, Pôle Emploi friend, and as well as to WAPES for this invitation and this organization. I am very impressed and honored to give the opportunity to contribute to this event, Building Labor Market Policy for Job Creation, and deliver some comments, particularly after the presentation of the results of OECD review. France was involved in the OECD review, and I am here as a representative of Pôle Emploi, as well as Vice President of World Association of Public Employment Services for European region. World Association for Public Employment Services represent 92 members in all the world, represent 42 public employment services within European region, and we are involved in mutual learning, exchange of practice, mainly on our main challenges: young unemployment, cooperation with employers, cooperation with all partnership, development of services for employers and competency of staff. And we make a lot of cooperation for development of capacity, surveys, and communication about public employment services responsibility, and about our mutual learning experience. It's not the first time that WAPES cooperate and is involved in lead OECD programs. Last year, we held jointly an online survey about the way of public employment services to respond to the challenge of long-term unemployment. And the conference gave the opportunity to discuss results and overviews organized by NASWA in the United States, WAPES, and OECD in Washington in February 2013. Well, let me come to the day purpose and short comments and figures. Sorry. I'm sorry, there is a problem, I suppose. I don't know, but I'm going to explain it more mainly. So, PACE, Public Employment Services, as practitioners, they are responsible of implementing programs and labor market policy program in national frameworks and at local level. And implementing is very important because it's often a face-to-face process with the reality, with customers, with users, job seekers and employers, and also with concrete other body and actors on a local level. Since crisis, the main figures, it's a previous chart, but I'm not going to let it because it's not very pretty. The main figures, you know it, all which we are facing on our labor market, high level of unemployment, and especially for more disadvantaged target groups, and on specific areas, young people, needs, long-term unemployed, low skills, seniors, disabled people. Mismatch, it's very important, and at the local level, it's a reality. Sharp gaps between labor and skills supply and labor and skill demand. Persistent amount of vacancy in specific activities, which is difficult to provide. Responses to build up for current needs, but also for anticipation for skills and competencies, and it's a key factor for building our cooperation. But within this situation, we are in a great diversity of situation in public employment services in OECD countries or in all the world. The diversity is linked, for example, with results from Eurostat in Europe, unemployment rate within 28 European countries ranked between 2.6% in Oberbayern region in Germany and 36.3 level of unemployment in Andalusia in Spain. But the large diversity of situation is also linked with a lot of factors, which is important to underline in our partnership in local level. Number and size of stakeholders. More or less decentralized system. Federalism, regionalism, municipalization. Distribution of competencies and responsibilities are quite different. Capacity at the local level of diagnosis and evaluation seems to be very different also. Budget constraint, cost of governance, all these topics, all these issues are the situation in our countries in which when we go from the national level to the regional level to the local level, we have to face two. And of course, public employment services, this is important to remain and to, to look at this, it's the back of the slide, to remain that the importance of local development strategy is the fact we have to face too in the context of overall low growth situation, even if economic dynamics seem to be in recovery. So in this context, which is a playing role of public employment services? So public employment services are concerned by, firstly, implementing active labor market policy, which means that it's linked with orienting the employment and training system towards employers' demand on a strategic way, enhancing investment in competencies, supporting strong partnership with employers. So two legs of public employment services are unemployed people and employers, and the link and partnership with employers is large, small, enterprising, articulation between training and employment, anticipation about needs and profile. All these facts, all these issues are very important for this partnership with employers. Securing also job opportunities in sustainable employment. It's a career pathway mean of supporting that we have to work. We have to be, of course, efficient in matching demand and supply, but not only with active matching demand and supply, but also with some automatic and transparency means on labor market. Targeting programs at risk groups, supporting, of course, inclusion and employability, and adjusting this implementation with a lot of room of maneuver for adaptability for resource programs and service deliveries on territorial realities. For this, we have to act closely with our partners, and we have also to act to be attracting with this cooperation and services with others' partnership. We worked at the European level about some Paris recommendation, which is partnership between employment services, and a lot of issues, observation and recommendation have been made about it. These are written here. I have no more any time. This is very important to know about it because, of course, all actors at the local level have to know that they are not one organization covering the full range of competencies when we have to link training and employment policies. Also, local autonomy must be established for a favorable environment of local partnership. National level have to recognize this local autonomy need and let freedom to operate with local partners. It concerns also public employment services. It's not very easy, but it's very important. Building partnership at local level for public employment services must be made on clear foundation and mutual trust and smart cooperation. Diagnosis of local partners is necessary for building strategy. The governance is, of course, very important means for leaderships. Involvement of employers is crucial. We have to monitor and evaluate the goals of partnership, and it's very recommended. And all the situation of development of partnership must be promoted and not unknown, even at the national, but also the, of course, local level. So all these situations are the situation in which public employment services are linked. Only for finishing my presentation, Pôle emploi has an experience in this sort of framework. We built 2 years ago a strategic plan in which one of our levers of our action priority is forging closer ties with local stakeholders. So, which name is territorialization. I don't know if it's a good word in English, but I think you understand what it means. Facilitating this implementation of territorialization have been built since 2 years with a lot of objective and with means which are identified here. Firstly, territorial diagnosis at all intervention level, and mainly from the national to the regional to the local level is very important. But it doesn't mean that we have to have multi-diagnosis at local level. So we have to organize this intervention. Second priority, adapted range of services. It's linked with autonomy I identified previously. For local situations, specific areas, for example, cross-border, rural areas, and so on. The improvement of service accessibilities is very important also for public employment services. We are not alone, so with partnership, we have to frame what will be the good way for accessibility. This is important for public employment services because of the needs of equality between and within our customer. The room of maneuver has been built in Pôle emploi because we built some means for deconcentrating budget and programs. And we are now rebuilding partnership and cooperation with all stakeholders. These are our active way of building this local and territorial partnership for Pôle emploi. 2 good practices, but I think I'm going to stop here, would be interesting to analyze. The first one is 100,000 added training places for job seekers for 100,000 vacancies difficult to provide within 2 years, last and present year, current years, and Emploi d'Avenir Shield, which is dedicated to young people, which is also main target goals with 150,000 young people involved in this program with very good practices for this local implementation of this scheme. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Annie, for sharing with us the challenges of implementing an area-based approach in a complex governance structure as the one that is in place in France. And now we will turn to Flanders with Anne van den Kruis, who is the head of the Employment Policy Division in the Ministry of Labour and Social Economy in Flanders. Anne is also the vice chair of the lead directing committee. The report on Flanders has not yet been released, but Anne will share with us some challenges ahead for Flanders.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the invitation also, and to be able to say something about the Flanders situation. Well, I will highlight 2 things. In fact, I will say something about the evolution of the public employment service in Flanders, because it's more locally oriented nowadays. And I also give 2 examples of local cooperation. So that's the structure of what I will do. So, but to start, I don't know if everybody knows Flanders. It's one of the 3 regions in Belgium. It's about 6.4 million inhabitants, and it's a small and dense region, in fact, with also, let's say, a good economy with different sectors. So it's relatively prosperous, in fact. No, it's not because we are small that there are no local differences, because we have contracted some studies to see are there differences, and yes, there are. So we have only 2 big cities in Flanders, but these 2 big cities have specific problems. They have high unemployment, especially youth unemployment, and at the same time a lot of vacancies. So we have a big mismatch over there. It's I think, a typical city problem, probably also the case in other countries. But on the other hand, we have 5 provinces, I was forgotten to say that, but also in the coastal area in Flanders, a specific situation, but I'll not go in depth on that, but also, for example, in the province of Limburg. So this province, it was before the province of the coal mines. They have shut down, there has been a reconversion, but still it is the province with the highest unemployment degree and the lowest employment degree. The situation in the cities, the forecast is that this situation would persist. So it is a very persistent thing, the high unemployment. So if we do nothing about it, it will get worse. That was what the researchers told us. On the other side, in Limburg, we had a big reconversion, and researchers said, well, it's going okay over there. So the difference between the other provinces will diminish. But we had the announcement of the shutdown of the Ford automotive company over there last year. And by the end of this year, approximately 10,000 jobs will be gone. 4,200 in the factory itself, but we had a lot of contractors, suppliers, so we can say there is a crisis in this province, and I'll come back on this. We had already had a OECD research also on the flexibility and accountability of the Public Employment Service, and the conclusion of that study was that there was still room for further flexibility, especially for the Public Employment Service. And Public Employment Service has done something since then. So the study was in 2012, and I will go, there are 3 main things, in fact. PES has organized itself on the provincial level. Before, it was organized on a much local level, but this meant a fragmentation of resources and little fabrics overall, so it was too dispersed, in fact. And we thought the provincial level would be, well, the most accurate level to link to the central level and to go with strategic plans, and then again to link with the local level. So it is a good way, we see. They have their own plans, in line with the central plan, but also a bit of autonomy, also on the side of the financial resources. They feed, in fact, the central plan, and the central plan feeds back the provincial plans, in fact. What is also important is that these provinces have a separate plan, in fact, to improve the cooperation with the municipalities, so with the local level. And this is new, in fact. So what they have to do is they have account managers, in fact, and they have really to go to the municipalities, talk to them, see what are your needs, in fact, and to cooperate with each other. And this is also monitored. So the central level monitors, are there contacts? Are there collaboration plans with the local level? What is the content of these plans? And also some indicators like satisfaction measures with the local level. So are we satisfied on both sides? And this includes, for example, mobile training centers. And one example, this is a specific example, I heard it recently, is one municipality wanted to improve the energy proof of their houses, because there are a lot of old houses and so on. And, well, the Public Employment Service said, yeah, we can give the training for your local workers with the building sector, and it was agreed on. So municipality gives a building, gives infrastructure, Public Employment Service goes there, trains the people, and then it's finished. And this is what I call mobile center. Then it moves to another municipality. So it's really very flexible and based on the needs of the municipalities. Another thing of the Public Employment Service, and this is also very new, in fact, and this goes to the city problems, the designation of city managers. So we have 2 of them nowadays, but there will be more for the regional cities. And the cities, they have a negotiated action plan with the Public Employment Service, but also together with the local public social assistance centers. So it's not always about work, but also the welfare issue is very important. And maybe to make it very concrete, the plan is that the city council or a delegation of the city council will go to Brussels, to the governing board of the Public Employment Service, to say what they need. And there was already an agreement, but it can be improved, and they will defend themselves what the needs are in Antwerp. So I think this is, very concrete. So this was a bit about the Public Employment Service, the evolution over there. Then 2 examples of local cooperation, and I think on the first one I will not go in depth because there is a workshop tomorrow and it's about these things. But the Public Employment Action Plans together with the City of Antwerp is based on a demand-driven detection of needs, together with the city, together with the employers over there, and so on. And it is built around broad sectoral partnerships. The main issue or the main focus consists of combating youth unemployment. We have these job and training agreements for the building industry, for example. It's called then Talent WAF. Then we have it for the manufacturing industry, which is very broad in Antwerp. But to say something, we have also the main port over there with the big chemical industry, which is also in transformation. And that is called Talent Factory, manufacturing. And then we have also an agreement for the port and logistics sector with also a lot of vacancies. And that is called Talent Stream. The Schelde. So, there are colleagues within the audience who can tell you more about it. And it seems to work, in fact. So it's sectoral, but when we are talking about manufacturing industry, it's relatively broad. It's not about one sector, it's the sectors which are important for Antwerp and which also are in line with the new industrial policy we have in Flanders. So, for example, to give the chemical industry, it's not only about the classic chemistry anymore, it's about building relationships with algae, something in the sea, and more microorganisms. So the transformation of the industry is in it, in fact. Then a last example, because I want to do it, I have still 1 minute, but still. Province of Limburg, the crisis over there. So what is going to be done there? A lot of things. So we have a big action plan, which was made together with the Flemish government, but also the local actors. And one plan we have over there is, it fits in the aim to tune education and training for the existing needs, but also for the future needs. And we plan to build over there a so-called T2 campus. It's a technology and talent campus. We have already some innovative incubators over there. And it should be, or it is meant to be, a state-of-the-art technological talent campus, I will read it, for the development of technological talent that is able to strengthen and to transform, because that is necessary, the economy of Limburg. It is also targeted at schools, primary, secondary, higher education, also university education, but at the same time at the unemployed, training of the unemployed, at the same time at sectors, at companies, and so on. So all organizations and people come together over there on one location. Stakeholders will, let's say, direct this platform, this initiative. We have a knowledge platform consisting of knowledge and science centers, companies, sectors, and so on, who will give input on the current and especially the future talent needs. For example, new materials, which is also forms part of the new industrial policy in Flanders. Then we have a learning platform which will translate these needs in good training, in adapted training for students, but also for employees, pre-starters, and so on. And then we have the infrastructure platform, which will put together the resources to have the right and the innovative infrastructure. So it's really future-oriented, and I have big hopes for it. So, but it is all not sunny and so on, because it's not very easy to do this also. So I asked for my colleague in the Public Employment Service, and what are your challenges to do all this, to overwin some things? And she told me, well, we have to have, it's not always easy to have a common goal with different partners, because most of the partners, they have their own goal, and then the goal of the others, well, it's good, but yeah, it's a bit of a territorial idea they have. So you have to have a common goal. So it's not always easy to have that, but it's needed. Another thing in Flanders, fragmentation of municipalities. We have small municipalities. They sometimes lack the critical mass, but they still want to do their own thing. And we have also big ones. And so the Public Employment Service will try to work with clusters of municipalities. But this needs a lot of time in building trust and so on. And that is what Public Employment Service has to do in general. That is investing a lot of time in building trust, in building context, in maintaining these contexts and so on, also in reporting to the central level. So it's kind of overhead. Another thing which is also important, they say, is communication. You can, as a Public Employment Service, go to the public, but also the municipalities. They have their voters, their civilians, and they have also to have a platform to communicate. So it's a shared communication which is necessary. I will not talk about the silos between policy domains, I think well known to you. But there are also silos between some industry sectors, and that is what we see in Flanders also. The sector organizations is still the classic, the classic sectors. And what is also needed is that industry sectors have to build bridges between themselves in order to have the right transformation to the future. So it's very, very fast, in fact. I think a lot of challenges, but we're getting there, I always say. So, thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for sharing those challenges. We have maybe just a few minutes for a couple of questions. Who would like to ask the first one? I'm sure there are. Yes, Eddie, just there. Maybe there's another one.
The microphone is coming, running.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a very specific question for Michel and about the new transformative story, which is very interesting to hear about. Can you say a little bit about how you worked upstream with some of the other stakeholders in the education system? Because the numbers you show in terms of younger people getting involved in entrepreneurship, wouldn't just be down to building some facilities. In terms of the culture shift, the attitudinal shift. You talked about big industrial change in the city. Can you say a little bit about how other work that's being done to support young people to be more open and up for starting their own businesses. Thanks.
So Michel, what are we doing also to help the young people?
They help the young
Yes,
people.
yes, and transforming.
You know, for the young people, it was the challenge. You know, we have a mentality in Shawinigan. We are every boy work in the large industries and generation for generation and for generation, and the young people said it's not an opportunity for us. We have to change this mentality, this way to thinking, and we support our young people with the new entrepreneurship center and especially. And when we had this young people, we have an exodus of young people. The young people said, we have no job in Shawinigan, it's not our place, and we want to go to Montreal, to Quebec City, the large city. But we try with us to explain, you have a future in Shawinigan, but we have to create a job. The first reason why a young boy or a young girl stay in Shawinigan, if you have a job. And we try with all the stakeholders to develop a new approach, and we want to encourage all the young people to stay in Shawinigan and develop their own business. And I think it's you have seen the rate. I think we are exactly on the good direction, and we have a common goal to explain to our young people you want to keep our young people at Shawinigan, and the mentality is change, and I think the future will be best.
There is a question there, just a bit behind Eddie. I think we'll have to stop at this point.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I still have a question also from the mayor of Shawinigan.
Yeah.
I see that most of the young people start into businesses at the age of 18. And I've also heard from the past presentations that most of the work that is coming on now is on self-employed. Now, in South Africa, we're trying to get young people into self-employment, but we've seen that a big challenge is sustainability of small enterprises by young people. It becomes a challenge. Now, I want to know how to help these young people to sustain. But the other thing is, at the age of 18, I think that they are on the transition from secondary school to tertiary schooling. Are they able to manage their small businesses whilst they are at tertiary education level? And how are their small businesses get sustained, and how are they helped to sustain that?
In Shawinigan, an important thing is the partnership with the education on the first time. We have a lot of young people who drop out of school, and we want to share with us the possibility to find a new way. And this new way is for help the young people is to explain that we have some tool to create our proper our own businesses. We know in Quebec, 85% of the job are created in the small and medium enterprise. And we have to rebuild our economy. We have to reconverse our economy. But we think with the time, with 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, we will able, I think, to keep our young people. It's possible to help more the young people. Maybe we have to work with the partner, with the stakeholder, and we want to find together a common goal, a common way. And I think we are on the right track, and I think the results are there to prove it.
Thank you, Michel. Just
You know, the English is not my first language. You know, it's more easy for me to speak in French, but I try to speak in English.
During the networking sessions, I'm sure there will be an opportunity for improving language skills as well for everybody who want to learn French. And now, just a quick comment on self-employment
on
in Flanders.
self-employment, I can tell you what we do in Flanders. We have a specific training institute for people who want to be self-employed in the future. It's called Sintra Vlaanderen. So before it was in the economics department, now it's in the employment department. So, and we monitor people who follow this training. What are they doing after 6 months, after 1 year, after 5 years? And it works because we have, I think, 30% who are self-employed, which is much and not much, but it is an achievement, I think. Besides that, we have started 2 recent initiatives with the cooperation of the European Social Fund. And it was during the crisis, there were a lot of self-employment who failed, in fact, and what to do with them. So we have built kind of guidance in order to have them back to the self-employment and with their special needs. And then one third thing, we have started also recently an intensive guidance trajectory for people unemployed who want to become self-employed. But the first stage of that is to have really a selection, because not all employed and all target groups are, well, capable, I think, of becoming self-employed. So we must not guide everybody through self-employment. So 3 short
Thank
things.
you very much. So session F this afternoon, supporting employability with entrepreneurship education. Session G, youth entrepreneurship. So plenty of opportunities to continue the discussion. Fortunately, I have to close this interesting discussion and turn it back to Anki, who is not so happy with me. But anyway, I would like to thank...
I'm very happy with you.
Very good. Well, good. So let's thank our panel just before we go to the networking session.
Yeah. So now we are a little bit behind the schedule, but I think we just go on. So now it's time for the networking sessions. And on page number 7 in your brochure, you'll find a map where you have all the different sessions. And we'll meet here again at 2 o'clock. It's lunch directly after the networking sessions.